Televiewers, today we're going to be talking about leadership in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are the guys and the girls who move the world. Big businesses have an impact on our economy, but all economists agree that the small and medium businesses and the new startups is what makes the economy of a country move. New things, innovation. And today we have a great example of an entrepreneur who started a business in Aruba very successfully and then also branched out to South America. His name is Diederik Kemmerling from the Lab. And we'd like to introduce to you and give the word to Diederik. Welcome, Diederik. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for the introduction, Raymond, and thanks for inviting me here today. Yes, I started, the first time that I went to Aruba was about 10 years ago. After graduating hospitality school in Holland, I decided to go 1 year abroad. So I worked for one of the bigger hotels in Palm Beach. And after a year, I decided to go back to Holland and to study a bit further. So I studied international business and languages. And then during my study, I came to the idea to help students with internships here in Aruba. And I built a website myself. I didn't know anything about building websites or digital marketing. So that's actually where my passion started. And then after my graduation of the international business and languages, I worked for a couple of years for Douwe Egberts. It's a big coffee brand in Holland. In the end, I was responsible for e-commerce and online marketing at Douwe Egberts. But for some reason, I wanted to go back to Aruba. So then after a couple of years working for Douwe Egberts and getting a lot of experience, because I was able to see how the larger online marketing agencies were doing their jobs in Amsterdam and in Utrecht. So then, I decided to go back to Aruba, quit my job, pulled my girlfriend, and I started the Lab.
Great. You know what is very interesting is that you have good taste. You decided to come back to Aruba.
Thank you.
And it's great to have you here. I have had the pleasure of also working with you in some of the companies that I'm involved in with internet marketing, and it's such an interesting field because it's the future of marketing, no?
Correct.
Televiewers, the traditional media obviously is very important and continues to be important, particularly in Aruba. But internet marketing is growing fast all over the world. Facebook and all other medias related to internet. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because that's what we want to share today with our televiewers and our young entrepreneurs and beginners, is a little bit more in-depth knowledge of internet marketing. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Then
of course. Looking here at Aruba, we help companies with visibility in Google. So like Google Ads, Google Banners, Facebook advertising as an example. Facebook in Aruba is quite big. Facebook has around 70,000 Facebook accounts. So that means it's one of the biggest media in Aruba. And Facebook offers a lot of targeting possibilities where you can target very specific to specific groups. Looking at online marketing, you see that in the rest of the world, digital marketing is already a very important part of the marketing strategy. You see in Aruba that since a couple of years it's coming up. What you see is that young people, they don't look anymore to the newspaper. As an example, for me, I don't read the paper newspaper. I don't listen to the radio because I have Spotify in the car. I just plug it in on my iPhone and I hear my own music. I read the news on my mobile phone in apps. So for me, it's quite difficult for companies to reach me as a profile or other young people. So then digital marketing, like visibility in Facebook and in Google, is very important to target that specific group.
So, okay, talk a little bit more about Google Ads and about Google, because that's a very important media. Maybe you can explain to our televiewers a little bit about Google Ads, what they are, you know, the generic organic versus the advertising. Explain a little bit about that.
Of course, we have, for instance, we have a couple of clients like real estates, and their goal is, of course, to sell homes. So basically what we do is we create a separate page online, and we create campaigns. Campaigns are like ads in Google. When someone is looking from Venezuela, for example, like compra un casa in Aruba, our companies appear in the top of Google in an ad, and that is giving our clients leads and sales. The good thing about this is that everything is really measurable, so we can see through statistics programs on very detailed level how much our client invests and what the return on investment was. And in order, the result is then that we can divide our budget very precisely in the things which are working and which are not working.
Great. Now, just to make clear to our viewers, the segment, the market segment of your age, around your age and younger, are looking less at newspapers.
Correct.
However, in Aruba, I've noted that there is still a large market, you know, of older people that do look at newspapers. So, whereas in some jurisdictions in the United States, papers are dying, in Aruba, there's still a healthy amount of, you know, newspapers, digital and paper, and also television that people look at.
True.
Just so we don't, you know, underestimate that market. But yes, for your target market, indeed, and also for abroad, the digital marketing is very important.
Correct. But the thing is, we never advise companies to stop with traditional media, because in my opinion
it's a backup, like
it's still an important part of the whole marketing strategy. But don't forget that there's a big older group in social media as well. And that those are like older people looking for their pictures of their children and grandchildren. So even the older people are present in social.
It's a new science of the last years.
Correct.
And it's something that all young and new entrepreneurs and existing have to be aware of.
True.
And you don't miss the boat. Digital and internet marketing, I know there's no difference really. Maybe you could explain. There's no difference, right? It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Internet marketing, digital marketing is the same thing. Your customers are in the area of telecommunication. You told me real estate development. You even have a big supermarket that's one of your customers. Some of the enterprises that I advise are also your customers, and so you have a team of people that work with you and around you, and maybe you can talk a little bit about your management skills, the things that in that context of your team, what are the things that you use a lot and that are very helpful to you, and what are some of the challenges, some of the things that you're challenged with in your daily operation and the way you do business?
We have. I started alone. So today we're with a team. We have separate people, separate colleagues, which are content writers. We have someone pure focused on advertising. I do the strategy, and what we do together is, in our field, it's very important that. In our field, it's very important that we keep on learning, especially in our field. So what we do is every day our colleagues are reading about our field, our topics, about digital marketing, like a half hour per day. And then on Friday, we all come together and we present the interesting topics we've seen during that week. And often as well is that when we do strategies for clients, often we discuss them in a group, because different opinions gives, of course, a better end result.
Team building and motivation, you said that was one of the things that you stress a lot on. And the decision-making process.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about that, team building, motivation. How do you motivate your people? How do you build a team? And then the decision-making process.
I give the people a lot of responsibility. That's very important for the motivation, I noticed. We do a lot of things together. So we share results together, we discuss problems together, and that's really about the decision-making point. Yeah.
We're coming, televiewers, we're coming to the first half of our very interesting conversation with Diederik. And we come back, we'll have more interesting conversations with Diederik. Thank you for allowing us to go to our sponsors for a very short period.
Bem-vindo a outra edição com EQ3 Aruba.
Aqui na EQ3 Aruba, vou por o setup completo para o hogar. Começando de nos bonita sofá, side chairs, side tables, functional mesa, nos variedade grande de lâmpada novo com a de color na maneira copper, de color preto. E sem olvidar nos diferentes color e size de tapete.
Sumita invita tur televidente nang passa aqui na EQ3 e wak nos variedade grande de mueble que nos oferecemos. Design lives here.
Diederik, one of the most important things in an organization is motivation. Keeping your people happy, keep them motivated so that they are happy in themselves and they express that to the customer and you get good production so your company stays good.
Yeah.
And so in a hotel environment, there's a lot of opportunities for motivation, parties, cocktails, this, that, family days. In your business, which is a little bit more cut and dried, digital marketing,
True.
How do you motivate your people? I mean,
Yeah.
I know some of them and they seem to be extremely effective and happy people. How do you do that?
We basically we do everything together. So together we work, together we learn, together we have fun. So often we go Friday afternoons, we go and grab a beer together, laugh together, making decisions together. Often we see that clients have certain problems which we are discussing in our weekly meetings, and then together we come to a solution or a kind of strategy. Giving people responsibility, that helps a lot. I see that that's working very well with motivation. Those are the basic things. Yeah.
Okay, what about things that you have challenges with that that are difficult or?
Yeah, we have a lot of challenges.
Okay.
Yeah, we time management is one of the things where we really need to look into. As often we see that we're spending a lot of time in certain clients, and we have to be more effective in that. We have a lot of meetings together, so I'm looking for a way to do that more effective. So maybe you can explain something about that with your experience, of course.
I'm supposed to be a good time manager,
Yeah,
they say,
yeah.
and it's one of my favorite topics, time management, and I like to talk about it and share my knowledge about it. And yes, it's something that we forget that time is, you can't recuperate time. Once it's gone, it's gone. And in my case, the years that have passed, and now what is left over, I want to make the best out of. And I think we should always keep that in mind, that time you cannot recuperate. Money you can make, you can lose, but time is something that is so delicate, and we have to treat it like that. And some of the major concepts, I mean, I can't in a couple of minutes give a course on time management, but just to mention some of the main things is that with keeping meetings, meetings usually take a lot of time, and we spend a lot of time in meetings. First of all, meetings that are not necessary. So, you want to get meetings, the agenda of a meeting straight, and this is what we're going to talk about, and keep everybody on that agenda, and don't let them move away from that.
Yeah.
So very, very important that you set an agenda, you give your people time to review the agenda, give them time to prepare for the meeting, and then come to the meeting. Be a good chairman. The chairman of the meeting is very important. Make sure, the meeting is starting at 10. Our goal is to finish at 11. Meetings that take more than an hour, hour and a half, more than that, sometimes get very boring and they get very complicated and very dysfunctional. So try to keep them to a certain hour, stick to the agenda, and those people who like to disrupt and talk about all kinds of things, bring them back in a nice way to what you're talking about and what you want to accomplish.
Okay.
And then try to come up with a plan of what was decided and how are we going to implement those decisions and how are we going to follow up. We have a very simple form where instead of making a 20-page minutes of a meeting, we have a 1-page action plan where we discuss the things, we write down the things that were discussed, the things that were agreed, we've assigned who is going to take care of them, and then we follow up to make sure they're done.
Okay.
So there are a lot of, and I'd be happy to spend more time with you on that aspect, being a very a topic that I like to talk about. And talk about as short as possible, so we don't spend time. Also that I discussed with you the balanced scorecard system, where the roots of all organizations should really be learning. When you do a lot of that, you teach your people, you make them read. So in an organization where learning and we're developing your people is the basis of everything, from there grows, how we're going to fix our processes to make sure the processes are right, how are we going to make sure the customer's happy, and from those three things, from being a learning organization, training and teaching your people properly, you then go into fixing the processes, make sure the processes are correct, make sure the customer's happy, and from there automatically you should have a positive result. So the balanced scorecard system is a very good system to follow, and I share that with you. Now, Diederik, I think that you have a lot of what I call in nice terms intestinal fortitude, in vulgar terms called guts. You come to Aruba from Holland, a young Dutch guy, you establish a business in Aruba, and then after a couple of years you branch out to no less than Colombia, which is a very challenging country, beautiful country, but it's a challenging country. You don't know Spanish very much at the time. You go to Colombia, Medellin, which is a very nice city, and you start an office in Medellin. I understand you now have a lot of customers also in Medellin.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit what motivated you to start a business in Colombia, in your own business, in your own, that digital marketing? What motivated you? What are some of the challenges you've met, and how are you doing there? Share with the televiewers.
Of course. Medellin is Colombia is amazing. It's really booming at the moment. The economy is growing very quickly. Our field online marketing is growing very fast. It's the second country in South America where digital marketing is so important. Brazil is number 1 and Colombia is number 2. Where we started doing business there like 2 years ago, 2013. At the moment we have an office in a co-working space, so we share an office with I think 8 other companies, all very young companies, startups, busy with technology websites. The first 6 months were quite difficult because my Spanish wasn't that good. I had to get used of the culture there. The culture is completely different as what I've seen, of course, in Europe and here in Aruba. So we struggled the first couple of months, and since 1.5 years it's going very well. Looking at the customers, we're helping their complete other clients than we have here, like private clinics, universities, which are looking for students, and then of course digital marketing, Facebook helps a lot with that.
So you help recruit students for universities?
Correct.
In Medellin, Colombia?
Yeah, correct. Private clinics, so you have a lot of medical tours to Medellin, to Colombia. So when someone is looking for like a full checkup, our clients appear in the top of Google. It's a very nice environment to go there. I go there now like once a month, once or 2 months. We have a local partner there, and yeah, we're expanding the team. Yeah.
Fantastic, interesting. And you know that Aruba always traditionally had that function of being like a stepping stone
True.
for businesses, industries of the past
Yeah.
by the Dutch.
Yeah.
So you're continuing the tradition.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And Diederik, you know, talking to you is very inspiring because you're young and full of energy, full of new ideas. You know, for older guys like me, you know, it's great to hear you. Also great to work with you and, you know, learn and be involved with this with you. And I've learned a lot from you about digital marketing. And I think it's a great concept. I'm sure a lot of young people, students, people thinking of starting businesses are looking at us and thinking, what are some of the tips you may have for young entrepreneurs, students finishing their, you know, their studies about starting your own business and entrepreneurship? Can you share some?
Of course, yeah, of course. I don't know if you know the slogan from Nike, just do it.
Sure.
I really love that sentence, and that's exactly what you have to do. Just do it. You know, why think and talk about doing business in whatever? Just do your thing. Just go for it. When you see an opportunity, take it. You have to do what you like. You have to be passionate about certain things. When you're passionate about the things you like, then you go for it. So those things.
So action. You like something?
Correct.
Do it. Don't think too much about it.
Correct.
Think it out, but then at a certain point, you have to start doing it.
Correct. And never give up.
Right.
Because you will always experience small issues, small obstacles, problems. Just take them and keep on going.
Right.
That's very important. Yeah.
I remember when you one of your first challenges in Medellin, Colombia, was with one of your girls there who was not closing the sales. No, remember?
Yeah.
And very intelligently, you brought her to Aruba, and we sat down. We had some sessions. In that case, I was able to help you, and we shared with her some closing techniques and how to close sales and so on. And it was a great example of how you were, you know, sharing information back and forth with one culture to the other culture, and yes.
And that helped a lot.
It helped, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're very good. So that's one thing. Just passion, get it done, start doing it. What stands out in my mind about you as a young entrepreneur is that, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs start. They have a basic education and they start and they get things going, and some become very successful, others less. In your case, a factor that makes you more successful and gives an entrepreneur a better probability of being successful is your educational background. In other words, what did you learn formally? And it's interesting how you you have a hotel management degree, but then you went back and got an international business degree, and that gave you additional power, additional tools to be able to be successful. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because with only the hotel thing, you would have gotten to a certain level, but going back and studying international business helped you actually start your business.
Correct.
And go to South America and
Correct.
understand international business.
Yeah, but I was quite old when I went back to school, when I went back to international business and languages. Some of the people ask me, like, you know, you're old, why do you go back to school? But in my opinion, you're never old to go
learn,
back to school and to study further. Even now, you're never done with learning. That's why in the office we learn every day, and we're teaching each other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
My famous saying is, if you're not growing or learning, you're dying.
Correct.
So we're always learning. I'm always learning. I've learned so many things from you also. Thanks for sharing, Diederik. And I think this is a great opportunity to thank our televiewers for looking at us and seeing our program, Leaders by Raymond Maduro. We want everybody to know that this is the last session or episode of this episode, and we'll be back next year again, beginning of next year, with more Leaders by Raymond Maduro. So thank you for helping us close off the last episode, and we look forward next year to sharing more information and sharing more good tips with our viewers. Thank you very much.